Welcome to the Grandshelt Knights podcast. This week we've got ourselves quite the interesting week for content. We've got Final Fantasy Tactics making a return, but it's not a rerun this time. We got the second part to the Xenogears raid, which we will give our thoughts on and of the weapon and strategy to it, and a brand new trial, which is the Espers of Dark 2 with Dark Golem and Dark Shiva. Um, this I'm your host Panda, and this week we got Kuja and Awesome here.
How's it going?
Hello.
But what do you guys think of this week? To start this off,
Well, I
I
mean,
like Ultima Seraph. She was my main magic damage dealer in JP when I was playing that.
I don't know. I like Beowulf's upgrades.
Oh, his upgrades are
Make him good.
fantastic.
ooh,
He was Garbo on JP.
Anyway, with the banner, three-star is Construct 8.
Yeah, we're gonna.
There's not really much to talk about here. He's crappy. The only thing that's kind of useful is he's a, magic tank. So, a 3-star magic tank, I guess. If you really are hurting for one,
Was he?
his TMR is garbage. It's increase defense and spirit by 30%, decrease attack and magic by 20%. We have better materials we can craft at this point than this, so
Yeah, it's called Adventure.
yeah,
Adventure 4 is better than that.
it's much better than that.
So he actually has a cover? I didn't realize. Oh, he
Yeah,
does.
he does.
Yeah, it's an AOE cover.
Yeah, but it's still
Well,
Again,
with-
it is there for like people that have yet to pull a magic tank like Shell or Misty or a 5-star magic tank.
well, another thing is as long as it has a high enough percentage, you can always just make it immune to resistant elements, and then be perfectly fine. Because he does come with fire, ice, wind, and earth resistances at 30%. So I mean, he won't be able to take a hit. So if there's anything like non-elemental, you're gonna probably just fall over dead.
Yep.
Most likely.
But anything elemental, like any of the espers, would be fine. Well, most espers.
So the thing that kills him hardcore is those passives that he gets.
Well, he's also 5-star max, so he's
But
stats
still,
are
if you don't
way
have a
lower than
magic
everybody
tank,
else.
It's
which
his
again,
HP
Yeah,
that
no,
kills
I
him.
understand that, but it's
I'm putting
very
these in the position of people don't have a magic tank.
yeah. I'm just saying he's not good. He's not. I mean, he might be able to get
Well,
the job done, maybe.
you also have to look at the fact that he can only wear rings.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. Wow, that's bad.
Really? Okay. Oh.
He also
that's
has
bad.
physical and magical resistance at 30%. So basically, he's kind of similar to
He's
liquid metal
LS.
slime, but
yeah,
worse.
that's what he is. Yeah.
The biggest problem you're gonna have is finding enough elemental resistance to mitigate.
You're not going to be able to, more than likely.
Well, if you have 2 rain STMRs,
Yeah,
why
if you
wouldn't
have
you be
2
raising
rain
rain?
SPO, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know, I was gonna say that.
Pretty much, if you have any of the really good TMRs that are going to increase your elemental resistance to a point where he can have his over 100%, you probably have a better magic tank.
I don't know. Does he? I don't know if he actually has materia slots though.
I don't believe he does.
Okay.
Yeah, he does, because I have World Destroyer on him.
Yeah, he has.
Okay, so
So
he's
you can
not.
slap on like some equip X thing.
Yeah, it's probably not feasible. Anyway.
Oh yeah, right there.
let's move
Ability
on
slots.
to
He
the
has
next
4,
one.
so he's
Yeah.
fine with that because you can probably get it
Yeah.
up.
Well, let's move on to the 4-star race or I don't know.
Rice.
Yes, it's race.
Rice.
Rice.
I say rice. Rice cakes.
Anyway, her
She's
TMR
Reese's
is actually very good. It's 40% magic with 30% fire, ice, and lightning resistance. That is fantastic. Especially for the elemental Tetris trials and fights that are coming up. So basically, it's good for a mage, hands down.
Yeah, especially for these Tetris trials we'll be getting later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The biggest faults with her, my
She's
God,
bad,
her weapon selection. Have you
and
seen a
her
magical
moves are bad
axe
too.
before?
No.
Oh, God.
And I only
This
know of
banner
one
is
magical.
just so bad. These banner units are just so bad with the equipment selection.
The 3 and the 4-star are just
Not
not
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and she's I mean, if you really think about it, she's probably worse than the 3-star because at least the 3-star gives you a fairly rare type of unit in a magic
Yeah, it's
tank.
a magic tank, which can be like unlike a provoke or a physical tank, unless you can build fully evasion. Which, yikes, on 3-star. Um, it's gonna be really hard to tank anything. But magical
Mm-hmm.
is a lot easier because of the resistances. But in her case, she has no good weapons. Her skills, she doesn't have a chaining partner. She's all technically finishers. Well,
Right.
I guess she has 20 hits, is what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, she's a chainer with herself, and then again, you got to find someone using her, which is probably unlikely. So
And find a way to
she's
get enough
probably
magic damage
really
to do any
tough.
damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess we can move on to Beowulf, right?
One thing I would like to note of Rice is, by the looks of it, her specific attacks have a 20 hits. I believe they chain only with her because,
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
which is nice to have, but it's just the equipment selection that kills her.
Well, it's gonna be hard enough to get her enough damage to kill anything in the.
Her passives are negligible. Look at them; it's
Yeah.
20%.
Oh.
She does
Yeah,
have good
she is bad.
resistances though, like fire, ice, lightning, and light
Yeah.
resistance at 50%. She's resistant to most ailments except for basically petrify. She has killers on at 50% to bird, beast, and dragon. I mean, she looks like she could be good, but her equipment selection, her magic
Hurts.
passives, and her lackluster just her modifiers in general just make her kind of eh. Like 3 times. I guess it maxes up at 6, but trying to keep her alive for that long would be a huge pain. Oh yeah, and if she heals, she damages herself.
Really?
Yeah, it's her.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Again, she's just not good.
That is very interesting.
Mhm. Anyway, Beowulf. We actually get into some decent units now.
Yes, you cannot
His
think of him like JP because in
Yeah,
JP
he's way different.
he's way different. They've improved him greatly from
Mm-hmm.
He
there.
was a big yikes on JP.
He was basically like Chin in JP.
Yeah. But anyway, his trust mastery is HP 20%, MP 20%, and attack 40%. For him, it's not super good, but it's a decent TM.
It's fine.
Yeah.
For him, it's fine. It's nothing special.
Well, I mean, it would have been better if it was a hybrid TM rather than, if it were 40% attack and 40% magic with no.
HP or MP, or if it had
Well,
LB
yeah,
fill rate or LB.
with no HP MP, but it'd be 40% attack, 40% magic. Would at least go with him. Would make sense for him. Like this doesn't make all that much sense for him, considering he's a hybrid unit.
Well, that and the fact that with him, I'm probably gonna build. If I had him, I'd build him for LB because
Yeah,
his
yeah,
LB is
yeah. I mean,
amazing.
because he's a really good breaker and he's a good damage dealer. You could build him either way, but
I'd say he's uh lower high tier when it comes to damage,
yeah.
definitely. But his breaking ability, he's because he doesn't sit around. So I think he's better than Lid, and because he has other functionalities as well, like
Hmm.
being able to dispel while breaking makes him better than other units too. So even though that break is kind of mediocre.
Crappy, but it's still if you
Better than
need to.
nothing.
Yeah,
His STMR is called Chaos Blade. I don't know. I think it's awesome, but that's me.
I think it's good too. I mean, again, people like to only look at two-handed weapons, but those single-handed weapons are still good. I mean, dual wield's gonna get a buff. It'll be better than true double hand. So the fact that there's high stat single-handed weapons is still really really good.
This also still allows him to basically throw in either magic or physical um, a secondary weapon and do
Yep.
an element maybe too. So
Mhm. Yep.
it doesn't lock him to anything specific, which is kind of nice.
Yep. And so with his kit, he's
A mixed
an
bag.
odd unit to say the least.
Well, his weapon selection is fantastic for a hybrid user.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But his abilities are different because he does 65% breaks to all each of the different stats, which he has on he can do whenever. Um, the only thing is they increase the opposite stat of the enemy by 10%, which is a little weird. Um,
You do have to remember though, if your enemy buffs itself, this will not add
it's
anything to it.
right. It won't matter because it's gonna be the buff that the enemy gives to himself is gonna be higher anyway.
Exactly.
Right. So
But that little percentage can also be your demise.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I I don't think so as much because really, if you're gonna be doing these abilities, you're probably not decreasing the spirit or the defense. You're probably more than likely doing that to their attack and their magic because it's significantly more important to break a boss's attack and magic than it is to break their defense and spirit. So, because
Well,
breaking their attack and magic is going to keep you alive rather than you getting killed.
I didn't see this, but it looks like he only has attack, magic, and spirit. Sorry. Defense, spirit, and magic for breaking at 65% this way. Do you see
Oh, yeah, maybe he
attack?
does. Huh? No, you're right.
Okay. I
Oh,
thought I was crazy for a second there, but
Yeah, no, that's weird. It's odd, but okay.
so, I mean, I would probably not use those skills at all, truthfully, because,
I mean, they're there and they're all, and you can dual cast all these.
well, I understand,
So
but the reason why I'd say I'd never use them is because there's no attack. So magic would be the only one I'd use for the
yeah,
most part. So,
I mean, you can literally dual cast all his non-physical, like non-attacking spells. I mean, the other abilities he has, which made him not the greatest breaker in JP, was the fact that his breaks were uh,
degrading.
downgradable. Yeah, and he does have attack that like the just attack one. It's a degrading break.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah,
But if you look at this degrading break, do you know
it's not
what's
bad.
new about it? From JP they increased it from 1 turn to 2 turns.
Right, so it's not something you have to spam every single turn like a Machina.
Yep.
Yeah, so you at least have 2 turns of effective good breaks.
He decreases light resistance by 100% for 2 turns, which is pretty good. If you have
Pretty good.
Aurora 5A, you might not care, but still, it's nice to
Yeah,
have.
I mean he can also decrease ice resistance and dark resistance by 75% lower in his kit.
His Confuse is all decreases by 60% for 2 turns, which is not bad for a hitting all
Yeah, I mean,
attack,
and
defense, magic, and
honestly,
spirit for one smack.
that's gonna be your like, I don't have my LB, so I have to break, and that's what I have. So, and it's not bad.
And he has 2 good chaining families at 6 star. So he's good at
Yeah,
6 star.
yeah,
Um,
he's very good at 6 star. The only things he doesn't have at 7 star are his cooldown abilities, which don't get me wrong, his cooldown ability allows him to cast his full break on turn 1, which is useful and a lot of the times needed, but you could probably still get by with casting like his 65% breaks or his attack degrading break or whatever you need to do.
Well,
Because you can dual cast all his breaks, so.
Yeah, well, you also have to notice about his cooldown melt. They did increase it from JP. So in JP it was 70% for one turn, and then it went down.
Yeah.
This time they increased it to 74 and 70%. So at 3 turns he's gonna have it. His break is gonna be stronger than 70 is stronger or equal to 70%. So
Right.
he's very similar to Lauren and to be for their non-LB breaks. So he's very strong.
Yep.
And of course, he does all this garbage you probably don't care about because if you're using a breaker like this strong, you're not going to be worrying about blind, seep, silence, or petrify because
that
everything's
is
immune
all
to it.
literally. I mean, the only thing that would matter would be you probably wouldn't want to use him fighting Asura because you don't want to make her immune to blind too early. Like that'd be like the only reason you wouldn't use him for her, probably. I mean, and he's gonna be a strong damage dealer because his damage dealing abilities add killers to himself. So.
Or they're just ridiculously strong, like his freaking 6-turn cooldown
times,
skill.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well,
Yeah.
18. I call it 9 just because you usually build one type, which is physical or magical.
But that's still high. That's still a high
high modifier, yeah.
anyway.
Especially with the killer on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, look at that tornado, 54 times. So half of that is 27 times modifier.
Yep. He is very, very good. His LB on the other is also very, very cheap for a 7-star unit.
It's cheap and it's fairly strong. It's not quite to Lid's level because Lid is 79%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's to the break level of Lauren, Auron, and 2B. And he actually does good damage too, and it's a single hit, so he can be a LB finisher if you wanted to do it. Yep. But I'm pretty sure you'd probably use it for the break more than the finish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he is. I don't know if he's the strongest damage dealing breaker, but he's definitely top 3, probably.
Yeah, I put him under Auron because Auron has that really nice buff, and I put him below Lauren because Lauren also imperils a good amount of elements by a high amount.
Yeah, but
that's my opinion. So I mean,
yeah, but I would say Lauren's damage is probably lower than his.
Well, yeah, Lauren's damage is lower than his, but she has 2 chaining families as well. I guess he has 3.
He's got 3. I mean, 1 he can't cast really forever, but again, I think he's probably slightly better damage-wise than Lauren. And again, with him, Lauren, Auron, you're kind of just switching whoever fits your party better for that particular fight.
Yeah, it all depends on what chaining families you're using.
Yep.
Except isn't Auron also AT?
Yeah, he is, but I think he's just AT, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. And at least he gets you Octo Slash.
And Tornado.
Yep, and he's got free dual wield, which means he's gonna be less MP hungry. So, I mean, I think he's very good.
Yeah, I was surprised they made him as good as they did because he was so bad in JP.
Mm-hmm.
He was basically like your only breaker.
Oh yeah, he was my only breaker for a while. My only breaker above 50% until I got Auron, and that's about the time I quit playing JP because keeping up with both JP and Global was just not fun. It became more of a
too much.
Became more of a chore than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, now off to High Seraph Ultima.
Yeah, Wings. The one everybody likes. Thinks is really, really good, and she is really good. Her TMR is Untrue Saint. It increases magic 30% when equipped with a hat, and 30% with a robe. Very good, solid TMR, 60% magic on basically every mage. So nothing
that's
to complain
usually
about
your
there.
go-to for a mage.
Yep. Her STMR is very, very good for her.
It's
I
fantastic for her.
I don't think it's. I mean, it's got a lot of magic. It's a 167 magic, 98 attack dagger, but it's where the power really comes from for her anyway is the fact that it gives all her Ultima abilities extra multipliers. So it makes her even stronger than she already is. Now,
Yep.
I don't think in GP there was really anybody else that could take advantage of all these modifier buffs.
There isn't.
There isn't. Nope.
But that doesn't mean that there can't be.
Yeah, Global could introduce someone that could take advantage of it. But right now, there is not. But that does not mean that she is not fantastic. And that STMR is
she's very good.
great. Like, people compare her to Ellie, and yeah, she has a little less damage than Ellie, and she's non-elemental, but sometimes non-elemental is just better. If you don't have to worry about the element sometimes, especially in like Arena, for example.
Yeah, I mean, with elements, it's like the mage you're gonna take to a fight 100% depends on what the boss is. Because if the boss is weak to an element, you're gonna bring that mage and they're gonna be stronger. Like it's just how it is. So sometimes Sophia is gonna be stronger than Ellie, and Ellie is gonna be stronger than Sophia, and sometimes they won't work because they're immune to elemental damage, and non-elemental damage is what you're gonna need to do, and that's where someone like Ultima or Terra or somebody like that's going to end up being better. So.
Yeah, but anyways, Ultima is probably Terra's favorite partner because they both have quadcast and they normally have dualcast.
Right.
Even though Ultima Seraph can get quadcast again much easier than Terra and more often, it's still much closer than anyone else.
Right.
Her weapon selection is fairly good. She's got all the best magic items, and I don't know why she has harps.
She can use whips. She can use whips.
I know, Rainbow Whip.
Broken. Anyway, I mean, she's got basically her Twister ability is Tornado with a little bit better modifier and a little bit better resistance down. So it's still good. The only thing is she's not like a Barbie who can cap her own chains because she doesn't have Erosia.
No, but her Tornado does do a 75% imperil compared to.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest problem, unless they fix it, is I think the Tornado chain can break itself because there's a longer delay between its castings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard there was something like that. But
I don't know if that's planned on being fixed. I'm assuming it is going to be fixed, but currently right now, as far as I know, they have not fixed it.
Some of her other abilities that aren't necessarily damage dealing abilities is she can really buff LB pretty well.
Well, she not only gives a 200% LB fill rate, she also drops 7.5 crystals.
Into everybody, while also activating her quadcast for 3 turns. So, I mean, she does a lot of different things. She's also got Dispelja, which is extremely powerful in the fact that it can remove all buffs from all the enemies and remove all debuffs from your allies. So that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's really too bad it takes 20 turns to get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, get it again. You can use it whenever you want, but you can only use it really once. I mean, that's because it's so powerful. I mean, when she gets enhancements, I'm sure they might, reduce the cooldown some.
Yeah, I think it should be like 10, but that's me.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, like Lid, who can remove all debuffs or all buffs from enemies, that ability is 10 turn cooldown too. So, and she's not removing all debuffs from the allies. So.
Yeah, but she's a kind of an older character, so I mean, I see a little bit of lacking things from older units compared to newer units, because newer units are just better.
But I mean,
Well, anyways, another really fantastic thing that she has with her cooldowns is she can actually break spirit on the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And at one of the highest rates I've seen in the game, 80%.
Yeah, and it's a degrading break though.
Yeah, but 70% stays for 3 turns, so
And I want to say
it's a
you could.
9-turn buff or debuff.
I want to say you could quadcast that because.
I think it does allow you
Yeah.
to
Yes. Yeah. You can. So you could technically do this and then hit triple cast on
anything
the
else.
arcane magics. Yeah. So it's very good. Um, she's just a solid mage. She's gonna do a lot of damage. Her magic stats are really high for a mage. I think that's more to do with the fact that her main ability for damage is non-elemental, so they need to kind of up her magic to bring her closer to someone who can do, whatever elemental chain. So she's very, very good. Uh, do you need to get her if you have Sophia or you have Ellie? No.
Well, especially if you have those, because they don't really do well with her.
Yeah, well, I mean, but still, I mean, we've kind of moved to the next tier of mages. We've moved on from like Transterra, even though she does work well with Transterra. Transterra's damage is nothing compared to what Ultima Seraph can do.
Well, yeah. The time frame between the two is pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is not having a good chaining partner is it's a detriment to a character.
She's got Dispelga.
I know.
That's really good. I like that.
Dispel Ja.
No, she's got Dispelga, which
And
means she can do that whenever she wants.
Well,
Because
her Dispelja is the one that's turn-based, is what he's saying. Well, the 20-turn one is called Dispelja.
yeah,
Well, anyways, the reason why she's much easier to use than Transterra is the fact that her LB gives her quad cast again.
which is really nice.
Yeah, it's too bad that LB takes forever to cast. So long.
It's a really pretty LB though.
I know, but after you've seen it probably like half a dozen times, you're like, please, just do it.
That's for you.
During this event, you're going to use the LB a lot if you're using her.
Why? I don't know. I haven't used it yet.
Because
Yeah,
you
I
might
don't
as
have
well
her
build her
either.
LB if you're using her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The
So
world may never know.
Dun, dun,
now
dun.
to the Mog King event. Well, the items are really good this time, at least.
Yeah, finally we get something that's not a repeat item.
Yep.
Vishnu Vest is our new item that's not a repeat
Yep.
like Ultima Wand
Don't miss that. That's really, really, really good.
Spoony
I mean,
birds.
again, anything with elemental resistances on it is going to be your friend. Always get them. But even like
the sword is good even.
The sword's good. I believe the cloak is good too. Yeah, it's got evasion on it.
Yep. The sword and the cloak both have evasion, and Septime has auto limit, which it gives you limit burst crystals.
And it's got 30 magic on it, which is pretty good.
And camouflage. 50%.
I mean, the little handbag isn't very good, but
no, that was probably the worst out of all of them. If anything they could have done is they could have made that attack stat magic, and you could have used it for what's her face, Reese or Rice or Rice.
Oh, yeah, that's probably who that's for.
It is.
But she's a mage.
I don't know. Like, and that ability that it gives you is kind of bad.
It's just MP refresh, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, you're gonna want to get tickets, 5-star ticket, get the UOC ticket. You're probably gonna want to get the 10% Moogle. Definitely get the Vishnu vest, and I would get the sword and the featherweave cloak, and probably a Septime as well.
Yeah, this is actually one where I'd go for the items really quick as soon as
Yeah.
you can. Definitely get them way before like some of the other stuff that they drop. Like I'd get it before they get Gigantars. I'd get the
Yeah.
tickets first, like usual. Like if you think you can make it, I'd get the 5K ticket first, but I didn't because I
The
was out of units and I needed more.
bonus.
Mm-hmm. More bonus.
Yeah, I did my 5. I got it earlier. I was bored, so I used some pots and ended up with a Dark Knight Lilith, which is meh, whatever. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the boss is gonna be weak to lightning. He's vulnerable to defense and spirit break, so he's pretty easy to kill. We've got plenty of machine killer that's gonna melt this guy, so he should be pretty easy. Um, a halfway decent Ultima and Beowulf friend probably will melt this guy every time without a problem. So you almost don't even need to have a carry unit, in my opinion.
Just don't use wind, earth, light, dark, fire, ice.
Yeah, I mean, use
Which is
lightning
why
because
Reese sucks for this battle.
yeah. But the funny thing is they made the units that are the 5-star bases actually good for a mocking event because usually they're not great for clearing it because they're immune to the element that they use, or it's a
Physical
physical attacker and
resistance.
he's got a ton of defense, or whatever. But so this will probably be a pretty easy Mog King event to grind.
Wish you luck
So
on extra units.
yeah,
Anyways, moving on from this is the second part to the Xenogears raid, which is
well tall id.
it's
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 a
all
Megazord.
I like this fight, honestly.
It's a Megazord.
Yes.
Well, do
Yes,
you
it
guys
is.
actually know what this machine is in Xenogears?
What?
Is this
So
is this
so there's a
Fey?
no, well yeah, technically it is Fey, but if it's Fey when he basically goes berserk. He has a second personality called Id. That's why it's called Well Tall Id.
Yeah.
And basically, Id can basically use his fists to destroy robots that are taller than him than anything. He's basically an insect compared to them, but for some reason, he can punch them and make them blow up. So this is his version of Weltall. Weltall is actually blue or gray. I can't remember what they considered it, but it looked blue to me. And this is the id version, which destroys continents. So it's a cool. They did a really good job on the sprite.
Yeah, the sprite looks really good. This boss fight is easy mode.
If you cannot wipe this boss, for people that have just started, be aware that he will do stop to you.
Yep.
Bring a physical tank. He will do some magical lightning damage, I believe it was.
Fire too.
And fire. But it's pretty straightforward, the fight. Just
Yeah.
don't be careful if you don't have stop resistance or a way to cure it.
Yep.
Also, breaks.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you break him. I mean, honestly, a evasion tank makes this fight trivial.
Yeah, but
I went in
people have the
I
gear
went
to
in
make an
with a
evasion tank, so
I
Well,
went in
yeah,
with a poorly geared Ramza and he lived.
yeah. Again, you really need a breaker though, because I think he probably would hurt you if you don't have a
He does a
evasion
decent
tank.
amount of damage without a breaker, because I did this in JP without a breaker, and to me it looks the exact same. It was very annoying to do.
Yeah.
But because if you have a Fae or a Bart or anything like that, they're gonna
Melt this
wipe
boss.
it because they have a lot of machine killer. If you have a decent Fae, or if you have a friend with a good Fae, a single Fae can destroy this boss. Just dual casting
Yeah.
his dark damage AT
I
frame
mean,
one. So
he's got like no HP. He's only got 10 million HP. It's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, again, it's an easy boss. Getting all the rewards is going to be the more pain in the ass thing because you have to evoke 2 espers, which is stupid.
well, in my opinion, the only thing that really matters is defeating with a limit
That's it.
burst and party of 5 or less. I mean, grade
Yeah.
coins are always useful, so if you can, go for them. But if evoking
I mean,
2 Esper
yeah,
2 times is too much for you, it's just a few raid coins, and Martial Rod is,
terrible.
unless you literally have not gotten any magic rods, this is like this is really low on the list. I mean,
Yep.
like 3
Yep.
stars from the beginning of the game have rods with similar damage to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you're only really gonna be using this probably if you started like Tuesday, because I mean, just taking a friend, you can finish almost all of the early early bosses, and there's 2 better rods than this. Just
And
doing the trial fights. So,
and if you need a friend for help, join our Discord down below.
yep.
Hey.
Well, anyways, now that we're done with that, the new trial. This is the more fun,
Dark Espers!
and we'll leave
Yep.
this to Panda because he's already beaten them.
First clear. So pretty much with this fight, you could go 2 ways. You can have a physical AoE cover or a magical AoE cover. Preferably, it's a lot easier to just go with magic cover because you can if you kill Golem on the first turn and Shiva's left alive, all she does is just magic damage until 50%.
Yep.
And when she's at 50%, she starts doing physical damage AoE. And if you decide to go the other way, you could just pretty much use a physical evasion tank and turtle the fight until 81% on Golem. Then you raffle stomp him.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing
Yeah.
that's kind of weird that's kind of hard for this fight is just trying to get through it with the specific espers it asks for, which is Tetrasylphide and Phoenix, and those bring down your resistances for your magic tank
Or
if
well,
you
I mean,
do
for
happen
the
to use
team,
it
yeah.
on if
Yeah,
you
because
do happen to use it on your magic tank.
yep, and you don't want to miss you don't want to miss Shiva's tiara. So
Yeah, it's a 51 magic hat with 50% ice resistance, which is really nice.
yeah, I mean, all these items are nice. I mean, these are all really even Golem Shell, which is just really stats,
It's
is
still
still
good.
really good. Yeah, it's still good.
It's a mini
It's
grand armor.
yeah, I mean, again, it's like if you don't have a Knight Delita or you don't have like Wilhelm's STMR, this is what's the next. This is what's next on that list. I mean, it's got a lot of defense. It's got some spirit. Uh, Mystic Robes is good as well. I mean, it's 30% magic and spirit when it comes with a robe. I mean,
But damn, I hate beating things with an Esper.
yeah,
Though it's so I decided to sacrifice my some resistances on my White Knight Noel and gave Bahamut to my Aiko. So she would just finish with Bahamut, well, Cloud was doing a LB finish.
Panda, you know that Aiko can summon any Esper, right?
Yes, I know, but I had it on Aiko. I know how
It's for
some
stats.
work.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, like the easiest way to do this fight is to use some magic wind damage dealers, so Ellie or Barbarisha or somebody like that, and then bring a fire finisher. I mean, the fight's pretty easy. It's easy compared to Gilgamesh, that's for sure. It's
Well, this
nowhere
isn't
near
a
as
Kai
difficult.
mission, so
Just
No,
wait
but
till
yeah,
just wait till we get Dark Ifrit and Dark Siren. That one's gonna be fun.
is that the next one?
Yes, actually. I got a pretty much a brief summary of the fight, and you have to have 400% resistance to all elements. Like you have to meet a maximum total of 400 on every single unit. If you're like 5 off, you're dead. And it's really rough because you're trying to have, I believe it was fire, water, dark, and wind. You have to reach a total of 400% resistance of all of those 4 elements combined.
on
That's only that's 100 on each.
Pretty much.
Oh, I thought like for the way you were explaining it, I'm like 400% each. It's impossible.
It's really hard because you're sacrificing a lot of damage, and
Yeah.
you're gonna make the fight a lot longer.
well, if you
Because
can't survive without it, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
well, you need to have it. So the way how that fight works
Yeah, but it's
is
probably one of
every
those
3
things that you can.
turns, Dark Siren and Dark Ifrit will be they're gonna both do an elemental chain on you, which will get you killed.
Yeah. And I mean, but again, this is easier and global with a buffer named Zargaboth.
Well, you also have Barbarisha, which is really good for the Dark Esper 2 thing. Because she can not only
Well,
chain with Tornado, she can finish herself.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was talking. I mean,
We were
Yeah, I
talking about
understand, but that's so
Kai.
far.
but again,
That's down the
yeah,
line. So
and still Zargaboth would work here
That'll be
too.
in a couple months, like next month or the following month.
It's probably next month. But I mean, Zargaboth, or it could be this month. Who knows? I mean, we still
since
could
we
get
just
another
got
one
this
at the
one,
end
I
of the
would assume
month.
this is next month.
It's gonna be next month.
Still the beginning of April though.
Anyways,
But yeah.
For final thoughts on this week for the banner, any tips?
I was very
Banners?
surprised, so I think this banner's worth pulling for, especially if you don't have a breaker.
Yeah.
If you aren't in love with Ellie, I think that she's worth pulling for because she's extremely strong as a mage, and you can UOC her. So if you get one, you can at least UOC the second one if you still want her.
Yep.
And Ultima is pretty tanky also.
Yeah, she's similar to Sophie in that sense. Yeah, not quite as tanky as Sophia. Sophia is surprisingly tanky.
Yeah, she is. She's surprisingly very, very, very tanky.
Also, heads up. Next week will most likely be Axstar because next month is getting next week will be Axstar because once next week rolls in, it's gonna be a month since Sid passed.
I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what they decide to do.
I mean,
they
they
could do
could
lots of things.
technically, yeah, they could push Axstar back further. I mean, it's not going to be. It's not going to be
most likely not. They're not going to do that. Most likely.
Yeah, Axstar probably won't be the week after, because the week after is probably going to be Easter anyway. So
it can't be on the week of Easter because
I
we're
know
gonna have the
because we're
Easter
getting
event.
we're getting an Easter
So it's
event.
gonna be next week, pretty much.
I think it's gonna be a week after Easter, but that's me.
And they're
Yeah, I
gonna
don't
milk
know.
out the Easter event for 2 weeks, since it's gonna be a new thing that they're gonna do.
Well, we will see.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Place your bets. But besides that, that's gonna be all for the podcast this week. Come by again next week, which we'll see on what banner it is, what content we get. For more podcasts, tune in to the Grandshelt Nights podcast. Please join us in the Discord down below. Subscribe, like, share to your other friends. And that's all. Hope you guys have a good one.
Yay for shilling.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening.